welcome everybody to PÖFF TV. I'm very happy to be here with you at the 26th edition of PÖFF, the Black Nights Film Festival here in Tallinn, welcoming a very special guest. Very special because it's already his third time here with us. Eitan, warm welcome. You brought your newest production with you, one of my all-time favorite films now, because it's such a wonderful, hyper-intelligent, black and white, dark and funny. I mean, not the color, but dark and funny. I even wrote myself, I think, screwball comedy about our industry, the so-called messed up film industry, which people also refer to monkey business. Your film is called The Good Person, and it's about a producer with a very special understanding of how production should be running. So maybe we can break the ice a little bit, Eitan. Is this film about your own producer who is sitting here with us?
Oh my God,
is
no.
it autobiographical in any way?
Well, no, first of all, it couldn't be autobiographical because the protagonist is a woman. She's a producer who's
Aren't we all
yeah.
nowadays?
Well, so her name is Sharon. Mine is Eitan. So Sharon is a very committed producer. She's an idealistic person when the film starts. She has high ideals, both in terms of art. She only produces very boutique films that she truly believes in, and she's a feminist, so she makes sure that they are directed by women and they discuss feminist issues. But then reality knocks on her door in the form of almost bankruptcy. So when the bank calls, you have to pick up the phone. And then to avoid bankruptcy, what she does is she starts to compromise. She takes the one project that she has right now, which is the comeback film of an ex-maestro of cinema, a guy called Uzi Silver, who was once like the most adored Israeli film director in the alternative universe of my film, and is now a rabbi. He's now an ultra-Orthodox rabbi. And he wants to do his comeback film, which is an adaptation of the tragedy of King Saul, the biblical tragedy of King Saul. So for Sharon, this is basically meaningless. This is just, all this Bible stuff is not for her, and certainly not working with an ultra-Orthodox rabbi. But what do you do in order to avoid bankruptcy? So they start off collaborating basically on, with the good intention of actually making a product, which would be worthwhile. But the relationship between them, the misunderstandings, the way that he treats her is, well, basically not very nice. So, and he dictates a lot of stuff. So this sort of starts her sort of decline from a very idealistic person to someone who basically sells out just in order to stay in the business.
Eitan, so you mentioned the word producer. Maybe just to explain it a bit more to our audience, producers are the people who usually are considered just to finance a movie. So they're just supposed to bring the money and do it. But my name is, by the way, Niki Nikitin, and I have the honor to be here for the first time as a rookie in this festival, curating this critics pick where you're selected. So what actually is, in your understanding, the producer's job? Because it's not just getting the money to make a product, but we're talking about art. Cinema is always art, and of course producers often supposed to also to have artistic influence, help the director, help you to put a team together, to have a casting. You have wonderful actors and especially actresses, not only Sharon but especially her assistant, I think, is doing an amazing job, and of course, the new level, the old man. So how, what's your understanding of production, especially nowadays in this changing times and turbulent times in our film industry?
Well, your producer has to be your best friend. I mean, he could also be your worst enemy, because the way that a director and a producer work there is so closely connected. There are connecting tissues in between. Usually the first AD is sort of, because as a director you're supposed to be in charge of everything artistic, the entire artistic side of the film, while the producer is in charge of everything that is logistical and financial. But there's nothing about film that is just logistical or just financial, because every decision that a producer will make will either show, or it will show on the screen by either something being there or not being there, or something specific, someone specific being there. So everything costs money, this way or another. So everything a producer decides is crucial to the way a film is, the fabric of the film.
Mm.
And directors are, I think, well, this is a funny thing for a director to say, but we're overrated. Especially, I think
Thank you for saying this out loud on camera, dear audience.
I'm going to say it again. I think the auteur theory, I usually teach, I sometimes teach directing and how to direct actors, but I mostly teach screenwriters how to write. That's how I make a living. I don't make a living making feature films. Hardly anyone does.
I don't know anybody almost.
Well, in America. So when you teach screenwriting cadets, when when you're training screenwriters to write feature films, you say to them, you're going to come up against. First of all, I teach a course of directing for screenwriters, which is a very specific skill. But they're supposed to, they're going to encounter this guy that in a feature film is going to think he's God, or she's going to think that she is God, because we've been taught that it's the auteur theory, right? The director is the author. The auteur is like the master
the director
of the
is
universe.
God?
Not in my reality and not in my world. I mean, we are it's the most collaborative art form ever, and everyone you ever encounter on a set is going to be there because they're artists. Even the ones that are going to, I'm just here for the lights.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the salary. I'm here for the money. They're not. They could be elsewhere making better money for, easier jobs. But everyone on set is an artist. And you, as a director, all you really can do and should do is basically use their input. And then you have your name on it.
Eitan, I cannot agree more on this, so let's give a credit to your producer who
Itai,
came
who's right there, yeah.
along. Let's give credit to the mentioned actors. You have a wonderful DOP, all the departments are fantastic, but you dared to do what nowadays, unfortunately, very little filmmakers do. You dared to walk the path of, I'm going to just name two names everybody knows, Ernst Lubitsch and Billy Wilder, because you made a comedy that is actually really funny. You have very good punchlines. You are in the best tradition of, like the 30s, 40s, before the code script writing. How difficult was it? Because in my understanding, doing drama is easy. You tell somebody your grandmother died, your cat died, whatever, people cry immediately. But doing a comedy that is actually funny, that is smart, because, humor for me is the biggest sign of intelligence. So I really can give you just a compliment for accomplishing such a great script, but then putting it also in the screen in such a precise way. So can you elaborate a little bit on the process, on the writing, on the creating? And then, of course, as we mentioned, the producer, were they not afraid because in a way you're making fun of them? With a lot of respect.
Well, what I think you're referring to is more in the sense of satire. If, in the sense I'm satirizing filmmaking, but I don't I'm not, in this film, I'm certainly not out there for the laughs. And for an Israeli audience, and basically this is first and foremost an Israeli film, those subjects are the most serious. So I do allow myself, and especially the character that you've mentioned, she's there to clown and make fun of things. But the Israeli reality has been very, it has been simple, and the film was shot between the second and third lockdowns of coronavirus, the national lockdowns. And while I was, I have two kids at home, two boys, and they were climbing the walls, and they were desperate to go to school already. How desperate could that be? A boy asking to go to school. And here I was as the dad telling them they can't go to school because there's a virus, while I know that 3 or 4 kilometers away, there are ultra-Orthodox kids going to school every day. So who is being the bad daddy here? Me, that does everyone who's conforming and, sticking to the letter of the law and forbidding my kids to going to school, or the ultra-Orthodox dad who says, yes, go to school. and God will protect you. So this is a very serious question for me. And, you know, I can be a clown about it and I can satirize the film industry, but this is, for me, is the biggest question on the agenda for Israel, has been for a while and certainly will be for the next 20 years.
Thank you so much, Eitan.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, toda rabbi, we have to come to a closing. So please, dear audience, the good person, remember it. Very special films in the tradition of the great masters of cinema, and making fun of a serious topic. I just have to mention, maybe as a closing remark, Roberto Benigni's La Vita è Bella. There's nothing sacred enough for a smart, dedicated filmmaker and his incredible crew to show the mirror, to reflect their reality. So please, the good person, our recommendation here at PÖFF TV, and thanks Eitan and his all great crew to be here with us. Ta-da.